Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is an action comedy from Argentina, Spanish language English subs, released in 2011, directed by Nicanor Larrety, and this movie is called Diablo. So Diablo starts off with Marcos. He is a disgraced former world heavyweight champion in boxing. He accidentally killed an opponent one day, and since then he had split from his girlfriend. Now he's living a life alone. So he's given up on life. His house is absolutely filthy, and he seems like a very bitter individual, but he still has his boxing sort of memories on his wall. So that part of him he really doesn't want to forget. But then one morning he gets a phone call from his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, and she says that she wants to come over and they're going to try and work things out. So this brings back his smile. But that smile is about to go very rapidly when he gets a visit from his cousin Higito. Now Higito is a very shady guy, and people from Higito's life have followed him to this house, and it's going to put Higito and Marcos's lives in grave danger. So their house is about to be besieged by larger-than-life villains that are hell-bent on punishing Marcos and Higito for reasons that I'm not going to go into. So whether or not Marcos can get out of this ordeal and reunite with his girlfriend is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Diablo. This is yet another very memorable Argentinian film. I had a lot of fun with this movie. This movie has problems, but overall it's just a very fun throwback to Grindhouse cinema. Grindhouse, the very filthy sort of characters, larger-than-life villains, and just a really exaggerated, an exaggerated circumstance and situation that all these characters are facing. So it's a very, very entertaining movie. And it's a movie that I was shocked by because no one ever talks about it. I'd never even heard of it before I saw it on the shelf. And so I thought, the DVD cover looked very good and the trailer looked very good. And when I was watching it, I got the same enjoyment that I got out of Hobo with the Shotgun. It's not as good as Hobo with the Shotgun, but it still has that exaggerated, different dimension sort of feel to it. So you've got the villains who are very good. You've got Marcos, who is the best character in the film. He's just the one guy not to be messed with. He's a very filthy, disgusting individual, but at the same time you support this guy. So he's kind of like the anti-hero. And so when this threat is being imposed upon their house, the way he defends himself is very brutal. It's a very, very, very violent movie, and it's very hard-hitting. The high-impact violence really took me off guard. I wasn't quite prepared for how nasty this movie would be, but that nastiness of the violence is complemented very well by the dark humour that the movie has. It's very well written. It's the same writer for Manos de Sangre, which is another fantastic dark dark comedy from Argentina. So the script is very witty. The insults are very juvenile, but that's what makes it funny, and that's what gives it the Grindhouse feel. As I said, it's a very provocative movie, but it deliberately sets out to be provocative. The characters are caricatures, they're cartoonish. You've got Higito, who was very funny as the cousin. Their chemistry between Marcos and Higito was very funny, and it was actually quite warm as well, because although they were insulting each other, you kind of got the sense that they really cared about each other. So they're two guys that you actually support, and although the movie doesn't take a lot of seriousness into the film, there's enough in those characters to really get some charm to them. So when the bad things are happening, although you don't really care about them, you still have that support that makes the movie drive forward. So the villain was memorable. The only problem I had with the villains is they weren't in the film enough. I thought the movie tended to focus more on the relationship between Marcos and his cousin, which is not a bad thing, because as I said, it's very funny. But I would have liked the villains just to have a little bit more of a background, have a little bit more of a purpose, because at the end it kind of feels that it rushes the end a little bit, whereas, Hobo with a Shotgun, the grand sort of showdown between the hobo and the lead villain, and you've got other movies such as Planet Terror, they've just drawn out a little bit. But in this movie it feels like the villains are rushed, and it didn't really feel like it didn't have as much thought in it as the rest of the film had. But having said that, as I said, the funniness of the film, the funniness of the chemistry between Marcos and his cousin is enough to make me want to recommend this film to you all. For a low-budget movie, it is very, very well shot. It's very surreal, very colourful, as I said, very Grindhouse exploitation. There's a cameo from Lloyd Kaufman at the start of the movie, which really sets the mood for what this movie is going to be like. It gets straight into the action very quickly, goes for 82 minutes, and I thought those 82 minutes were definitely well worth it. And you'll come away from this film thinking that, yeah, I saw a very entertaining film, and I don't regret taking the time to watch it. So overall, for Diablo, I was very impressed with this movie. It's another Argentinian film that I am glad to have in my collection. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.